Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this workshop meeting for the Temple City Council. Currently, it is 10 minutes after 12 on November 4th. We have somebody in the audience that's busy. Like redistricting. So, welcome, everyone. Let me go ahead and read everything in. First is public comments. It doesn't look like anyone signed up, so we'll move on to item number 2, which is to discuss as may be needed any regular meeting agenda items for the meeting posted for 5 o'clock. Does anybody have anything for discussion?
I do. Mayor, I'm going to control item number 5. See if we could postpone that for a workshop down the road.
Okay.
There will be a motion to table the item.
Sure. Yep. Anything else on the regular meeting? Consent agenda, kind of a long one, I think, today. Is that it, council? Staff?
And you guys don't want a presentation today on item 5. It actually sounds like it would be super helpful if we delayed it anyway.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure.
Correct. All right. I'll move on to item 2 is to discuss the city council redistricting process and to host a drawing session to provide input on district lines. And I think this one's going to take a little while. So I think we're going to have a lunch and learn. We're going to go ahead and eat while is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
I don't want to be the one standing between you guys and
That's not good.
dangerous place. Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Let's everybody, let's get our plates and get back and get to work. Does that work? All right. Ladies first. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. And everyone else in the room, there's plenty. So y'all go ahead.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Again, for those of you who got a chance to meet last time, I'm Gunnar Sequist with the law firm of Bickerstaff, Heath, Delgado, and Acosta. And we appreciate you letting us help you out with your redistricting process for the 2021 cycle. As you may remember from my presentation the last time I was here, our goal in this process is to rebalance based on the 2020 census data, the population in your city council districts. And the standard that we go by, the courts have told us, is we try to obtain a maximum total deviation, which is the difference between the most populous and the least populous districts from the ideal of less than 10%. And as of the 2020 census, the districts that as they currently sit are my number here. Yep, overall total deviation of 54.2%. Obviously, that puts you guys well outside of the 10% threshold, and so we do need to redistrict. In looking at the population, what you'll notice is your city council districts 1 and 2 have the least population, are the lightest, so they're going to need to gain population in order to be rebalanced. And then conversely, 3 and 4, and in particular 4 with the greatest population, are heavy. So the exercise for us is to take population from 3 and 4 and move it into 1 and 2 until such time as the total deviation is less than 10%. What we have done to start that process is prepared a draft plan, an illustrative plan, which is there's a large map in the middle of the table here labeled Draft Plan A. I have also handed out smaller packets, one for the current council member districts based on the 2020 census, and then also with the draft illustrative plan here, as well as each of those packets have the associated demographic reports and numbers for each of the plans. Just a caveat about the map that we prepared here, it is just a platform to start a discussion. So if I have moved something that you don't want moved, or I haven't moved something that you'd like to see moved, don't worry, we can make all of those changes. I am joined today by Jackson Briggs, who is a GIS specialist with our office. He is working from the Mother Center to to handle our drawing software today. So he is going to be able to make any changes starting either from the initial, or excuse me, the current council districts, or from the plan that we've drawn in real time. So if looking at this map that we've drawn, you want to see what it might look like if we moved a couple of blocks or streets one way or the other, he can do that in real time. So we'll be able to not only see visually what that looks like, we'll know what the population impact is, how that affects demographics as we go. The goal for our purposes today is to try to come up with a plan that everyone is at least reasonably accepting of, so that we can then publish that as a draft illustrative plan for public comment. And we'll help the city get that out to the citizens so that they have a chance to review it and come in when we hold our public meetings next month to make sure to get any input that they may have, and also to submit any alternate plans they may have in accordance with the criteria and guideline that you all adopted back at your city council meeting, I think at the beginning of this month. So with that, I will have Jackson bring up the draft plan that we've done here in the drawing software. And so we can zoom in to a micro level on blocks anywhere in the city that we need to see, or we might want to change. You'll see our population tables and demographics are at the bottom here. So we'll see with any changes we make, how those things change. And that gives us an opportunity to basically take any suggestions or thoughts or feedback that you have for us now to try to get something that the council wants to put out to the public for comment. If there are any questions before that, I'm happy to answer those, or we can dive right in and just kind of shout out what you might like to see, or we can go district by district, however you guys would like to proceed.
When you does this show voting age numbers, population number by district? I know it's something I don't see it now.
It is. It's on the far right in the light blue shaded area. That's going to be our racial
But
demographic.
there's not a hardcore number, like 15,000.
Oh, in terms of the population, we can give that to you.
Okay.
It's just on another
Just another
screen.
shit. Okay, that's what it is. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Want to start with Council District 1, not to put anybody on the spot, and see if there's any areas that we've taken or not taken in a way that you think doesn't make
Taken
sense?
away, I've lost some of the historic districts, so I would like to gain that back if that's possible.
Absolutely. Let's take a look.
So here, let's see. I should say so. Central. Where's Adams? Oh, here it is. That's right, okay, these are small. So I'd like to go down to Adams.
Along
That's
7,
possible.
is that 17?
That's 15.
15.
Mhm.
Okay.
15, that was down 15th and up.
Okay. Jackson, you with us?
Yep. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Let's back out a little bit just so I can see. Okay. All right, are you able to see Adams along Central, basically where the original district was right there? Let's put that back into 1. Oh, the line that you see there is the outline for the districts as they currently sit. So we
Okay,
can
that's
move-
what I was gonna ask.
Yes. One of the things to watch as we go through, you'll see on the top right corner, that's going to give us that overall deviation. So as we go through, obviously we're heavy right now because we just put population back in, but as we go through, we're going to want to change until we get that down back below 10.
Okay.
Okay. So what we have now is 1 is a little overpopulated. We're gonna need to take some population out of 1, and 2 is light. So we're gonna need to take some population into 2. I know you were mentioning you might want to see some area come out of 4 back into 2.
Yeah, we were talking about the area inside of the 363, that 4 is assigned,
Okay,
and see about the signing of the redistricting of that back into 2.
Jackson, let's see if we can get that section that's at the corner of the highways there back into 2.
Back into 4.
No, sir, I think it's in 4, it needs to go back into 2.
Due to your looking at that.
So to the, yeah. That area right there that's in
Right there.
4.
Yeah.
Put it in, nope, go left. You're on 2.
Okay.
The adjacent area in 4, let's put that into 2.
So am I looking at the right spot here, the Temple JC Park area?
That contained by the highway intersection there. So north of Dodge and Loop and,
Quarter
Yeah.
and Dodge.
Yeah.
And 31st.
Let's see, sorry about this. So we're not talking about this green square of 2 that has the red outline.
no, we're
No.
talking about taking everything else that's in 4 right there.
Oh, okay,
Putting-
everything right.
Yeah, all that into 2.
Gotcha. And this area as well?
Nope, let's leave that in 4. Or were you thinking of bringing that
No,
up?
but
Yep, leave that in 4.
where it is.
Okay, so now 2 and 3 are good population wise. We need to lose a little bit more out of 1 and into 4.
I feel like I'm playing Risk.
It's kind
Similar.
of like moves on a chessboard, yeah.
I'm not sure how big that area is, but if you came back this side of Adams and took this piece right here, and moved it from 1 back into 4.
Okay,
You said 1's heavy, right?
that's right. And we need to
And
move
4's light.
about 2,000. Right now, 1 is about 2,000 heavy and 4 is about 2,600 light. So if we can move around 2,000, maybe a little bit more folks, then we'll balance it.
I'm assuming I can't, come over here and get that gerrymandered. So, I mean, this area right here would be something.
Okay, let's go take a look at that. Jackson, can you go over to by where the airport, just south of where the airport is, over in 1?
Yep.
And I would tend to think you would stay on this road right here that you're bound.
Okay,
See what that-
let's use Prairie View. Let's grab everything underneath Prairie View Road right there. See if we can.
And down and past Research Loop, just use Prairie View Road to the south.
I think that's okay. We're gonna have to, there was too many people in there, so we're gonna have to kind of either pick part of that or try to rebalance somewhere else. What was the total population in that area you just moved?
Let's see.
We've got 41. So if we can, what about, could we, is that all pretty much a cohesive neighborhood, or are there different areas in there that we might be able to separate without causing any disruption?
Yeah, if you stay, so if you stay on Old Howard or Hilliard Road, where we just made the first move, what did that do to the number? I got confused there for a minute.
When we moved this piece from 1 into 4, we basically, 4 was 2,000, or excuse me, 1 was 2,000 heavy, and 4 was about 2,500 light. We're now 2,000 light and about 1,400, 2,000 light and 1 and about 1,400 heavy. These are the numbers that are going to tell you what our differences are in 4. And so basically that was, we needed about 2,000 people, and that whole block we just moved was 4,000. So if we could take a portion of that, I don't know, there may not be enough people to the right of that west field right there. And I don't know, again, I don't know, depend on y'all's local knowledge to know whether or not it would make sense to maybe try to divide here.
Swinging that, I'll go to Westfield.
And just so I'm clear, you want to take right of Westfield back into 1 maybe?
What do you
That's
think, Jessica?
mostly crossroads. That's
Yeah.
mostly crossroads and business, so I don't know that's gonna make the difference you need.
It may not.
That got us
You guys close.
pretty good. Yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah.
So now we're actually in balance here. We can try to tinker to bring it a little closer to 5%. But if you're under 10, you're okay.
So that works for Judy as well? Is that-
Judy?
Yeah.
And I like the look of that better because, it is nice to have that, the highway intersection there serve as the boundary for that.
This road, what is that line? That's Midway?
Yes.
What if you, no, that's District. Here.
What about that little piece of District 3 that's on the west side of the interstate? Right there. Just trying to keep things clean and, with boundaries on major roads.
Okay.
And it looks like it's fairly, that's Charter Road. It's fairly, it's not that densely populated. That helps everybody if they kind of know their boundaries. What if we move that into District 4?
It's going to make you a little heavy, but we can try to balance it. Jackson, let's try to throw that back into 4 right there.
Man, 0.47. I'd like to get Judy just a little bit more. Where it would come from.
Okay. What did that do?
You're at 9.49%, so you're still within the 10%. You're pretty close to it. You know, ideally we draw it down a little bit, but that certainly, that will work.
You want any more?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't think so. You think you've got enough?
And they got you back all the historic districts.
You got the voters.
So the red line is the existing as it is today.
That's right. And so this pretty much gets you, you know, like we said, you needed 1 to take in from 4, so you get quite a bit of that here. And then you needed 2 to take in some from 3, which we do here as well. So that's kind of where your changes are right now.
Can we see the voting age?
Yes. First of all, here are our percentages and here are the numbers.
Okay. That's pretty well balanced there. I know you don't count it. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but those numbers are pretty close.
You ended up, Cameron, can you go back? It's pretty well balanced. Can you go back? So here we have, and this is what you currently have too. You've got one majority minority voting age population district, which is going to be District 2. These numbers are pretty consistent with the way it is right now. The difficulty is if you look, or just so you kind of understand what it looks like in terms of the demographic thematics. On our initial assessment packet that you have, I have some thematic maps in here at the back. Oh, there we go. And so what you see is, you know, a lot of your concentration of your Hispanic population is in 1 and 2, a little bit in 4, which we've grabbed and put into 1. And so, you know, to the extent you're adding from 3 into 2, that's going to have the effect generally of taking some Hispanic population out of there. But you've still got a pretty good balance here, and it maintains 1 majority minority combined voting age population district in 2. It's always, you know, it's more challenging when your higher minority content districts or your light districts, when you have to add in, and you got to be careful because it'll tend to, you know, if you don't have actual additional minority population to add into those districts, you can have the effect of lowering those numbers. But we've done a pretty good job of keeping them about the same.
Just teach Susan up.
That's what I was just saying. What you get, Susan?
Cameron, show us the map again. Perfect. I'm sorry, Jack.
Can you tell if our growth trend continues as it is? How long will it be before we're above a 10% deviation?
It just depends sort of where you are seeing the most of your growth. I mean, here you've actually, if you're getting much growth in 1, you've left yourself some pretty good room to grow there. To the extent you're seeing more growth, and these are actually, frankly, you know, pretty close. If you get growth in 4, it's going to put you out of balance, you know, quickly. If there's not corresponding growth to balance it out.
Is that something that you have to adjust during the next 10-year cycle, or at the next redistricting has to be adjusted?
At the next redistricting. And really, we can't, you know, we go based on what the numbers are. You know, we can leave a district heavy or light if we have some anticipated growth, but we got to work with the numbers that we have. So
One should have a lot of growth, right, out there
It should.
on the airport. A lot of houses going up out
So if that's true, and that will work well because you've got, your 1,100 under here on one, so there's certainly some room to grow out there.
Is that a good enough? I mean, it appears to be a well-balanced map, at least good enough to start with public comment.
I think it's a good map. And it, certainly there can be changes to it from here on out. This is not setting anything in stone. This is just a good, example to give folks to look at and give some input on it. And then also for you all to consider further. And then at the next meeting, we'll have another drawing session just like this one, where we can incorporate any further thoughts that you all may have or any public comments that you get.
And just to clarify, that won't be at your next meeting.
I'm sorry,
It will be the first meeting in December.
the collective hour next
Yes.
meeting.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Can we get
Is that the old?
this size on this new map?
Absolutely.
I just realized this is upside down here.
Oh, yeah. I should have turned it sideways. Maybe. That might have been more fair to everyone.
So in District 2, those red lines, is that in District 2 or out of District?
Everywhere that's shaded green on this map will be in District 2.
Okay.
So what those red lines are showing you, this area would have been in 3 previously, and now it's.
Years ago when you could in it. Sure.
I think so.
It's not worth it.
Okay,
Small part.
well then we will call this illustrative plan 1, and we'll get you maps as well as the demographic data. I'll get you a big map too, and we'll work with staff to get it posted and out to everybody, and then we'll set up a public hearing.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you all so
Very good.
much. I appreciate it.
A lot easier than I thought.
No, it
I
didn't.
know.
That
I
went
really
quick.
expected for all.
Can we like go
Did
there?
you ask?
I think, actually, I think you can.
The part about. Oops, kicked him out. Just didn't know. Okay, what else? Sequest, thank you for your time.
Hey, our pleasure. Thank you so much. You know what? I wish I'd known I ate before I. Hard to pass up though.
All right, well, there you go.
Thank y'all. Sounds good. Have a great day.
All right, then we'll move on to item 3, which is to receive a presentation regarding this. I'm sorry, what?
I was just gonna say Nancy was anticipating
Longer,
this issue, and she's actually at the terms.
okay.
Maybe like open for something at one place.
Arrow's here.
She is on her way over right now, and then I also just let Tara know as well, so she's on her way over.
So it sounds like it's been a pudding.
You're late.
Kevin's upstairs, we just said let him know when.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
Sounds better than-
It's not very good, Mayor. You won't like it.
Really?
I got you.
We'll save you from having to eat it when you.
My dad would make banana pudding from scratch, and he would call, like, we were coming to Abilene, he'd call me and say, hey, what time are you gonna be here? And invariably, he'd come with a big bowl of warm banana pudding.
Nothing like it.
So good.
I am using my fingers to calculate time in my head. I'm trying to, I don't know, I'm just,
I'm thinking we're gonna wrap this baby up
I-
by 3:30.
I'm trying to notify people who thought we were gonna be, I told Adrian and I'm like, so this is not, it's no, but I did tell him, it's either gonna take y'all 3 hours to read this or 30 minutes. So, I mean, I was hoping for some donut holes or some gerrymandering.
I tried.
That's coming at you.
We're gonna load you up.
Yeah.
I was supposed to give you a message from Adrian. Called me back yesterday. after I left. He just gave me some updates. And he wanted to talk to you about today.
I talked to him. Hey,
I
how
feel
are
like- I
you?
feel like
Do you
that-
need to take
that-
a couple breaths?
No, it feels like I'm riding in on the horse to save the day.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you, I'm glad that it went early, that you guys ended early. I just want you to pay attention to this real fast, that number here. I told-
Oh, Lord.
97. That is a misprint. Give me the clicker.
Divide 97 by 7. No, divide 17 by 97.
So I
20 seconds
will.
to slide
Kevin is
ahead.
not motivated at all by my token.
Now you can go to mine. Now you can go to presentation.
Not.
No.
Are you motivated by keeping your job?
So, I will, believe it or not, I think I'm gonna hit 17 minutes, even with that. So let's,
Did 97 slide?
no, it's not a joke. Just watch it. I do have a joke, but I still will get through my 97. It'll be pretty close, but so let's get going. I will tell you one little disclaimer here. I was supposed to do this presentation at the last workshop, and I wasn't feeling well. So some of the data, I tried to clean it up to make sure, you know, my just saying, the pressure's on. So it may be you may see something that I missed that I'm sure that's in the future and it just happened or something, but it's going to be pretty close. So I'll start off with the golf course, and you know, it's a great place. And if you haven't had a chance to go out there lately, you need to go. I'm trying to summarize all what they do, but they're like a machine out there right now, and it is well oiled, and they've got great leadership with Jeff and Matthew and Stephen, and so basically what they have been doing, what they will continue doing, is all of the day-to-day, long-term maintenance. You know, I think I've told you this a long time ago that you know, unfortunately, with most anything businesses, when they're short on dollars, what you cut, maintenance, and that can lead to big time problems. And you know, we're finding that happen in parks right now, not in terms of dollars being short, but manpower, and that's catching up to us. But you know, this is really what their mission is, always out there. And I remember when I took over back in 2014 and would go out there was the crabgrass and Johnson grass everywhere, even up to the collars of the green. And Jeff and them have really worked hard over the course of time to make it an outstanding course. I inserted from the Telegram back in October, UMHB held their tournament out there, and not just from the condition of the course, but the customer service. So, you know, we really got two products. You've got the course, and then you've got the staff and just the service. And they performed top notch on both regards out there. And so the last 90 days, we've had 8 tournaments, just shy of 900 people, and coming the rest of this year, there's 5 more tournaments, about 500 people still going there. Yes, sir.
Out of curiosity, I know, 2 or 3 years ago, we spent about $500,000 on the greens. And then we had snow. How did that $500,000 worth of greens do?
Yep. So there, you'll see a picture. We had 7 greens that were impacted, but it was just a little bit on each one of them. We do have what went through the budget, and you guys approved. We got money to put green covers. Jeff and them, we had everything lined up when we, submitted the budget, and then the supply chain stuff has happened. So they're not sure they'll be here this year, this winter. So Jeff and them are already making preparations to pretend we're not going to have it there. We're going to do what we've been doing in the past to protect them. And if they get here, that's great. But we will be putting covers over the greens if they get here. But it was not bad. You'll see some of the work that we had to do on there, but they've done a great job. Here's just one of the, so there were 7 greens. So it's just small places. They've taken it off their little sod farm they have out there, replacing the chairs, and still great. So as a golfer, there's probably 2 things Jeff would tell you that's critical. It's the pump houses that you guys have replaced over the years. you can't get water, it's just like our body. If you can't get your blood pumping, can't get water to the course, you're doomed. And the other thing is, if you've got great greens, people are very forgiving if your roughs are, not in the greatest shape, if you've got whatever. If you get to the green and those are great, you've got a great course, and they really focus on their greens. And then I will have to kind of kid Jeff. It's kind of looks like not exactly a straight line. It's got a little bit of curve. I'll have to talk to him about that, but just one of the, just the maintenance things that they do out there. And then here is the title really says it all. Hard work by the staff, commitment, staff here, city staff, you guys on council, just to the whole city mission of what we're doing. And then funding, you spent probably over $1 million in the last probably 8-9 years, from pump houses to rerouting the course to the greens, just everything you do out there. And there's their number. This is early. This is not finances numbers. So I think we're real close to what you see here, but take the final word from Tracy. That's what I would do. But those are going to be very good numbers. But you see, it's doing well. Now, the rounds, they've got, the nice thing about Jeff is he's so analytical. He'll go out there and you'd say, hey, you're down on what month, what day. He knows what the wind was doing, if it was raining. He just looks at all of that stuff. And that's the way you've got to be. He came from the private sector, and that's what they do. And that's great to know. So you see the number of rounds, and that also, I think, directly ties into those numbers. I asked him, I said, hey, in what record do you have? What year was our most rounds? It was 2002, and it was around 39,000, I believe. So we're getting close.
Your rounds in a golf course reasonably.
That's a great question. My question to him, so I'll tell you what my question to him was, and I can get the answer to that. So we've done 39. I said, hey, what number do you think you have to hit to break even? And he said, he didn't have time to put a sharp pencil to it, but he said, you get around 40,000, you're breaking even, he believes.
I've always been told 45,000 is about the limit for
golfers. So anyway, so they're doing wonderful. And, back in 2020, people were getting outdoors more because of COVID, and they continue to do well during that time. And it was great. All right. Now somebody sabotaged me because now let's see. It's not working.
clock's still running.
I know, that's what I'm worried about.
I reclaim my time.
Okay, parks. What have we been up to? What have those guys been, through the life preserver out there? Because day-to-day surviving, that's, yes.
One more thing.
Stop that clock right there. Okay.
Interruptions do not count.
I've heard nothing but compliments about the golf course and different charity events that have happened out there. The only thing I've ever had anybody to say is there a fence out there that behind that fence is a boneyard of a bunch of old equipment? And
There is,
like that.
by the maintenance building, there is a wooden fence where they keep some old equipment and some stockpile of dirt. Sometimes it gets out of control with weeds, and maybe that's what you're gonna probably be telling
Yeah,
me.
maybe so.
There.
And that literally is the only complaint that I've ever heard is, the course is so nice and you come around the corner and here's what appears to be maybe an equipment dumping ground.
Yeah, I'll check. They shouldn't see the equipment. That's why the fence is there. But like I said, I've been out there where when they put the dirt, you got the weeds starting to grow out of it. But I'll definitely check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not a complaint from me, just someone asked me about that, just an observation and a question, that's all.
No, it's all good. I was talking to a citizen yesterday. We were meeting about Miller Springs and BMX tracks and stuff, and he was giving me, and Chuck and I met with him and giving us suggestions, and we welcome it because we've only got so many sets of eyes. So whether it's you guys, whether it's people just please inform us. So when I say day-to-day surviving, there will be slides. We'll talk more about this, but we definitely are on the short end of having staff. And when I do my inspections, The system probably has not looked as bad, in my opinion, since I've been here. But also know that with the number of bodies we're missing, it's explainable. And we've had to come to some tough decisions on prioritizing what is, in order. And I'll cover some of that. But so custodial, for example, we have 3 bodies that takes care of all cleaning the restrooms, emptying the trash. And in July, all 3 were vacant. And so that was a tough choice, and I'll talk about that a little bit. Winter Storm Uri, we still have the effects of it. We have, back in the summer, we had 0 horticulture staff. You saw, and I'll have pictures, you saw the stuff that finally get pulled up here at City Hall. We had to contract that out. We've slowly been going around a park system, trying to, address that, but you'll see that in the community. Ball fields, we've had struggles with our company that we contracted at Crossroads. And so not only were we trying to keep up with the tournaments that, go to our field, there were times we'd have to go and supplement and help them. So that was a struggle.
Did they underbid that, or did they have labor issues too?
No, I would think they underbid that. And we are,
Significantly, I think.
said, I'm sorry.
Significantly. I mean,
Yes.
I think it's been ongoing.
Yes. Yes. And I have a slide, and I'll talk a little bit more kind of where we are right now in that process. Aquatics, back in the summer, that's hot and heavy time. We have 3 guys that take care of all the pool, all the splash pads, being down to 1. Fortunately, we're back up to 3. And so that's good. And then event support, what I think some of the hiring difficulties we have is to tell, especially the younger people coming into the market. So if you're going to do ball fields, for example, you're going to have the fields ready. You got to come back maybe at midnight or 2 in the morning to get it turned around. All these special events we do, and most of it is self-inflicted from the recreation side. But hey, not only that, but you got to go work all these events as well. And that can be a struggle with doing that. It is enough to where this summer we actually had the recreation staff started providing more staff to help. So it has been a good blessing in disguise, a little more teamwork. So I've got a picture and a specific project. We'll talk about it. Now, we also still had some great things. This one was completed actually earlier in the summer. I just put it in there because pickleball is continuing to grow. And the other one now that we've got hit with is soccer tennis. And so we're trying to work with that. Pruitt Park, that opened.
Never heard of soccer tennis.
Yeah, I will talk a little more about that one. So Pruitt Park was a great project. I've got some of the slides for those that couldn't make it out there. There was a grant from Niagara Bottling, actually Niagara Cares, which is the philanthropic arm, and then a tree farm. We had a church come in and help us with that. Winter storm, we usually keep about 1,050 trees, because the goal of the tree farm is you got them for 3 years. On that next year, they come out. So you always have a 3-year program. I think we lost 2/3 of our trees out there. So that just tells you it's enough that we lost. We are not able to do our tree for me giveaway this year. So hopefully next year we'll be back to it. You probably remember this. This was outside of the building here. The other thing that will be a challenge, here's Jones Park. These Indian hawthorn, they took a beating everywhere. Some of the trees got taken out. What we're trying to determine as we go around pulling things out is, this happened all across the state. So nurseries were low on supplies. So what are we going to go back with? And we get ready to go back, what's going to be available? So we're kind of have to balance all of that and try to figure out what we're gonna do. Here's the pickleball courts over at Walker. I drive in every day. When I look over there, there's always people in the courts. So they love their pickleball. Pickleball, I'm going to keep this slide up. So it is a miniature, what I call almost like somebody said the other day, ping pong, but it's played with a wiffle ball and like a hard paddle. It is, somebody told me years ago, hey, that's easier on you when you get older. I would disagree. If you just tap in pickleball championship, it is fast paced and a lot of placement. And this blue line right up here, like right now in tennis, you could go all the way to the net. And if somebody were to hit it to you, you could smash it back in their face. Pickleball, you can't cross this line. So it kind of keeps somebody from doing that. But it is, I'm not sure how that would help me on my knees being older. They said it was easier. I disagree. Pruitt Park Playground, we had already signed on to do this project with our staff. And that's what we typically do. We do it in-house because we save a lot of money off the labor. And still wouldn't change it, but our staff put this park in. It's at Pruitt Park. It's 9 acres of undeveloped space that's been undeveloped since I've been here. And it was a win. So we were short on staff. So here is, I had staff coming from the convention center. You see Jeff there from the golf course. We had recreation staff. So they all came over so that our guys could keep mowing and doing other stuff. So they came and helped. So that was a great project, and one that we had a meeting with this park staff a week or so ago, and they even mentioned it. Hey, it's nice to see recreation staff side by side with us. And so that has turned out to be a good thing, and we'll continue doing some of it. And then that morning, of course, everybody's blues from Niagara. They probably had 30 or 40 people there. They unloaded, we had an 18-wheeler of sod, and I think within 2 hours it was all put out, and we had a little time to kill before we actually did our presentation. But and then of course the ribbon cutting, NRPA was there, Niagara was there, and then the final product is over there, and that's a great partnership. And what I really love, and I think we missed over time, I was telling Brent, is in the budget, we have money to replace 2 playgrounds this year and some pavilions. I think how we had volunteers to help there, we've got to reach out to that neighborhood and get volunteers to come out and help build it. It really brings, it was nice to work side by side with the people. So that's our goal this year. Tree farm.
Can we go back to that last picture?
Yes.
I didn't notice this when we were going over this, but I see my beautiful little girl at the top of that slide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She enjoyed it.
Yes.
Very nice.
She also got to speak at the ceremony.
Yes, she did. She's a highlight. It was nice to talk to some of the folks. I think this lady here takes her kids or grandkids. A lot of them go to Miller, and they were so thankful. There's something now in that area for them. If you haven't been by there, go by there. It's fantastic. It really is. And the picture does not do it justice, because when you look here, actually there's a drop off, and you can see it. It's a beautiful setting. Tree farm. This is what I said. First Church, the Nazarene Temple, volunteered. We had a lot of damage, so that was a good time to come in and do some work. They came in and helped us, and every February, we did it last year because of COVID, but we have that volunteer recognition dinner. We can't do what we do without volunteers, and this is just another example of how the community can help. What's on the horizon? Winter projects. We're usually entering into winter project time, and that means that we keep a list during the year of things that, hey, it would be nice to improve our system, but we just don't have time because we're mowing, we're taking care of pools or whatever. This year, it's going to look a little bit different because mowing, we are still behind. If you drive around, we're behind on mowing, so we got to get all of that caught up before March rolls around, because it will be busy again. And then the other is we've got to get all the cleanup done from winter storm, all the bad pools, to save the city money on doing that. So that's going to be our main focus. And we do have, I think it's on the next slide, probably I think there is one coming to talk about Transform Temple Health. Ball fields and aquatics, they will remain pretty much like they are. Got to have everything ready when the spring season gets here, in the aquatics and the pool. So with them fully staffed, they'll continue doing their winter project. What's going on actually started today, the traps. This is our Texas Recreation and Park Society. The educational session started today, and then tomorrow is the rodeo. That's where our region, we have different maintenance workers come in and they compete in terms of using bobcats and doing obstacle courses, nail driving, all kinds of stuff. City Manager Myers was there this morning, opened up the educational session, and Mayor Davis is going to be there tomorrow for the rodeo to say a few words. And, I'm touring tomorrow, so this I want to tell you something about Kevin. And all the parks guys know I hate cold. Everybody knows I hate cold weather. And the first cold day, traditionally, I take a vacation day, and that's tomorrow. And then Chuck said, "Hey, you can't do that this year. You've got the rodeo." I said, "Oh, I know who scheduled this rodeo." But that just know now I've got to pick the next cold day. But when it's cold, that's my protest to the winter, and then I'm okay with it. But I always take a vacation day. I can't do it. Christmas decoration, that's just around the corner. You're gonna have Thanksgiving, and that starts rolling, and we got Christmas decorations coming. And then projects, the 2 playgrounds that will be replaced this year. We've got Spanish Southwest, and we got the one at Kiwanis, that'll get replaced. And the pavilions will be, we've got one at Spanish Southwest. We're going to put several in. So get more people out in the park, that's not just limited to the 1 or 2. And then the other pavilions is we're going to take down the large one at Jones Park and put up a lot of smaller ones. If you remember seeing, I'm not sure who has seen the district that includes Jones Park, we're going to try to start matching that vision. So, whenever there is funding, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, we haven't done something that we need to totally redo. So we're going to try to match that vision. And then solar lighting, some of you have remember in the past, people have come to the council, especially when the time changes, dog park especially. Hey, I get off work, can we not get lights out there because it's dark? And so in the budget, we are prioritizing the dog park, and then also the new Pebble Creek Trail parking lot, well, new probably 4 or 5 years ago at McLean Parkway, that one off there. We've got some demand out there. So this is just examples of the rodeo that'll be tomorrow. I'll tell you, somebody asked me, "Hey, do you think you could do some of that?" Heck no. We have seen people take this and hit the wrong button or hit it too hard and just crush that can. That would be me. So, but this is a great opportunity just for, it took a while to get our guys interested and engaged in that. And it's been over like 10 years to get them, but they really look forward to competing. Our irrigations team usually wins here at regionals and goes to state and places in the top 3. Sometimes they win it. That team is not able to participate this year, so I don't know. That's disappointing, but that's okay. And then Christmas decoration. Who doesn't love Christmas? It's probably one of my favorite times of year. And with the addition of all the lights down at the plaza and the tree, looking forward to doing that again. Parks challenges. So you look at 33% down. I said this the other day, man, we're glad we're at that percentage. So back in July, we were at almost 50% at one point in a 2-week period. So we had more positions out, just vacant. We had someone that had some kind of major eye injury. He may still be out. And then we had the ball field crew was out. 3 or 4 of them were out for 2 weeks. And so there went a period that we were actually that many positions down. But 15 was the most that I ever recall that we actually just did not have bodies there. You see that little guy right there, I added that because we are looking high and low for workers. The chemical technician, I've looked at it about every year, it turns over. We never keep somebody that long. They're going to the private industry. Chuck told me today, he said, okay, we got one that starts next week. They're taking a new guy that's he's young, seems like he's willing to learn. He does not have his license. So we've got a guy, the parks division director, will train him, get his license. He can start spraying for us. The only thing is, I have a fear is he'll get his license and then he'll go on. But they are trying to be creative and coming up with all kind of unique solutions. Irrigation technician, those 2 positions, if you have to have a license, it has been difficult to find them. Now the one, David Cobb, has been with us. He's been here longer than I have. He just is fit in. I think if Kevin's crystal ball, I bet he has a couple more years and he's going to be out. But his assistant, we got that maybe in the last budget or 2. That one is vacant. And then there you see my horticulture woes. And out of that 4, one of them is the leader. So the Parks Division Director, once again, he's having to step up and do some of that. Roadside mowing, I have nobody that's specifically for that. We just have to catch it when we can, when we're, caught up in parks. And then, of course, the mowing is vacant. So very, very difficult. Let's see one thing before I go back. No, okay. So we had to make some decisions back in the summer when I told our janitorial custodians were down. So Monday through Thursday, all restrooms were locked up. So we opened them up for the weekend. So we've done that. We have prioritized, hey, parks is parks is a higher priority to keep mowed and trimmed out than a roadside. But eventually roadside has to be hit. TxDOT has to be hit. So it's just a matter of just prioritizing stuff. The other challenge is the maintenance out there. And I think we've gone at it a better way. The company currently does extra mowing outside of Crossroads. When they came to us, they said, hey, you give us more mowing, we can get a better price. Well, that sounded good. It did not work out that way. And then all the restroom cleaning. So this year we took all the extra park mowing, and if you remember, it's already come to council, y'all awarded, went to Heart of Texas. So somebody else is mowing the extra land. Then we recently bid out the maintenance of the ball field, the dirt work, and then we took the custodial part, cleaning, and said, okay, you give us an ad alt, you can do it. But then we also went and published it out there for companies that actually do custodial services, see if we could get somebody. And it looks like that is going to be a better option this year. Right now, we're evaluating, we have 2 proposals to come in to actually maintain the fields. And we're meeting, I believe, next Thursday. And so I think we're going to have it on the first council in December for our recommendation to award. So, but yes, it'll be quite considerably more than what we originally bid. I think when we started with this, like mid 400s. And so it is quite considerably more. Recreation, Mayburn, and Museum. I don't have to necessarily, I'm not going to read all these to you. This is the side that typically, this is the fun side because this keeps you active and stuff. And so we're still, the leagues, we are seeing numbers slowly start coming up. Corporate challenge, our biggest year, maybe 2018 was 23. And I believe in 19 is 21. And so it slowly dropped. We picked up Jack Hilliard Distributing and Artco Bell this year. That's our 2 new companies. So those, last year we had, I think, only 6 teams, and that was COVID. So not everybody participated. So it's gone up, and hopefully next year it'll be even more. And then here's the stuff that's been going on from disc golf to football. It has been very busy. Aquatics, not sure if you can go back, before we started this season, short lifeguards. And we had to get very creative with our scheduling. We modified hours. We did not do swim lessons this past summer. We did not do rentals. Our sole thought was, especially at Lyons Junction, we didn't know for sure what COVID protocols would, fall in place. And so we didn't want to promise somebody, hey, you're going to have a rental or swim lessons, and we couldn't do it. So what we did is we actually extended the open swim hours just as a way to tell the public, come for open swim. And so it was very creative in what they did. I think they did a great job coming up with the schedule. And you'll see the zone, the summer camps in the zone. It is, I believe the summer camp, Mike told me, the 2019, we had 290, I believe, in the program. So it is definitely down. It is more than 2020, of course, obviously. But if you put these 2 numbers together, it's a lot better. This number is actually a little bit higher. The ones at Wilson Rec Center, where you've got the summer camp out at the schools, that's a whole, when you sign up, you've got the whole summer. We've done specialty camps, these at Wilson. That's from oceanography to piano, whatever it is. we did special camp. They were a week at a time, but they went all summer long, and that's how many unique users we had to come through. And then, of course, special events. This is the one that really goes hand in hand with park. They produce a lot of work for them. Hot Summer Sounds, it rotated around the city from Miller, West Temple Park, the Plaza, and Lions Park. And then, of course, it was nice to get back to the fireworks show and have the event. Moved out to Crossroads. I think it was an overwhelming success. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. So we're looking forward to this coming up here. Haunted Hayride, Fright Fest, that's passed. Doing pianos, and we had a new event called the Not Bike Bike Ride. What that was, okay. And then what's on the horizon? Just continue with what we see. It's just continue with our events. Corporate Challenge will finish, and then we'll have some more softball and baseball tournaments, and that will wrap up. I believe all of that will be done first week or two of December, then it's down until March. Aquatics, we're returning to swim lessons, and that's a good thing. The better thing, I think, also is the next one is training kids for lifeguards, and a lot of them can come to work for us. So we're getting back to doing that, and we hope that helps. And then the other thing that we are reviewing, I haven't seen their proposal yet, but it's just overall Limes Junction policies and procedures. You know, right now, no, you can bring water in, can't bring food and drink. They're looking at that. Is that really in this day and time? Do we want to continue doing that, not do that? Don't know where it will lead, but they were short last year in that area of preparing the food. So it could come back that they changed the menu and it's just all self-packaged. I mean, repackaged. So don't know what that'll be, but that will coming up. And then what's still left are these events. The first quarter, first Friday every quarter, they'll be doing a little bit of music down at the food truck area called the Yard. Family Days will continue down at the museum. You already see the rodeo we talked about in the workshop today, Santa event, senior Christmas dinner. That's always a big one. And then, of course, our parade and Bend of the River Christmas. And then final tidbit to know, Bloomin' Temple. It will not be what you know as Bloomin' this year. There's several things. We've got a lot of work that's going on actually at MLK Festival grounds. We believe that the work will be done beginning of April with no weather. They still think they could get it done. So that's one hurdle. We think, oh, if that was the only challenge, we could probably move forward. But then you've got artists out there that depend on what protocols are in place in the state, they could choose not to come, or if you cancel for any reason, you're still paying no matter how far out. And then we've got the wonderful parking garages and other construction going on downtown. So with all those unknown, we said maybe we shouldn't do the big thing. So we're going to do another event. We don't know if it's going to be called the Bloomin' Temple and modified, or it's going to be a new name. It'll basically start at the Yard and go toward the Plaza. It'll be a linear festival with music. They're working on that right now. So just in case anybody asks, we'll have something, but it won't be exactly the same. And see, that actually is my last slide. No way. No way.
Witness.
I think you got
No.
I can
Got
only
him, but he
blame
was under about 3 seconds.
I can only blame the mayor and
And that's with 15 minutes of questions.
see, yeah, I had some extra. See here, that's just a backup. But look at all those slides. I thought I was going to do that. That's nice. But I'm happy to answer any questions about Parks and Recreation.
A lot of activity.
A lot of activity. We like to get more.
Good job.
It's been tough, and but we've told the staff we appreciate what you got to appreciate what they do, and say, hey, it may not told them. I told them because they asked, well, how are they? I said it doesn't look that great, but you know what? We've never been short like that either, so don't worry about it. We'll take all the we can answer questions in public. You just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job, and they are so.
Do you think the tennis courts are going to be restriped for pickleball at Crossroads?
We have been asked, I have resisted that. Just as a tennis player, that's not the ideal thing. You start getting a lot of different lines, so that's not the ideal thing. We are doing an update to the master plan right now at Crossroads. And I believe one of the recommendations will come out is to build pickleball courts that's specifically for that. So yeah, we were asked a long time ago about putting them out there. We resisted. So we came up and put them at Walker, and then we may have them at Travis. I can't remember if we have them at Travis.
I have friends that go to Walker typically for that, so.
There's a need for more pickleball courts. So,
I actually took pickleball in college for PE and all things.
how was that?
I paid for it.
Year.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I paid for it.
How'd it work out for you?
Well, so I thought I was a pretty good pickleball. Well, I was a decent athlete, but somehow the whole tennis team ended up in my pickleball class. I took a beating every Tuesday and Thursday. It was not good. Exactly. But it is a fun game. It's a lot of fun.
Strategy.
Yeah, and placement.
Yes, yes.
So do you think by May, the festival grounds will be available for the public to use?
Yeah, we're hoping in April.
Okay.
Several reasons. We want to keep pushing them. No, we're not gonna do what we call the festival. We don't want them to slow down. We need to get that opened up so people can start using it. Also start moving all the events that really are probably too big for the city hall parking lot. You've seen those. So we need to get all that down there. And then you have that, then you can tie it all into the trail, down by the yard. And so that's what our vision has always been. So we need to get that finished. But yes, hopefully April. I hope. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Man, that's great.
Very
I
good.
still can't do 32. Though. I'm disappointed in myself. I want to go.
Did you think it'd be 42?
Are you
I
able,
heard all these pictures. I thought, okay, that's gonna go fast. Oh well.
how about, what strategy are you gonna use to find people to work?
That is a great question. I know marketing communication, they have gone out and done interviews with some of our staff, they put stuff out. We worked with Tara, we modified some job descriptions and how it's worded. We've Tara also talked about, maybe we need to do some job fairs. So we're, yeah.
idea.
I tell you, we've got a great community. I have a active voice out there near Silverstone. And when there's, and I've got several parks that are like that. And, then I finally just say, hey, can you guys help us advertise, look for workers? And Tara sent me like a brochure on the benefit packages and all this stuff, the city, and they put it out on, I can't remember what, the social media platform. So I think the more we can communicate that, hey, we're not exempt to what you're seeing across the city, the state, country. And then most everybody understands what we're going through because they're seeing it everywhere. Restaurants, doesn't matter. But that's a great, I think you asked a question I don't think we don't have an answer for. Anything else? Thank you.
How's the summit?
In terms of membership, I think it is, it's not like it was, I remember not long after we opened, probably, I think we peaked out somewhere around 4,500, 5,000 members. I don't know where we are now, probably half. I had a chart, I did a presentation a couple of years ago with just a sheer number of gyms opening up in the area. So it is not like it was, but I think the quality is still there. And we still have those that really like the family atmosphere. That's who goes there. I've told staff is you're the summit. You're not these other gyms. I want to name them, but do what you do best. And that's all you can hope for because you're not going to compete with some of these other businesses, but you need to focus on what do you have? You have a pool. You've got some courts and we're going to resurface them this year. You've got this, they do have a nice facility out there, but it is, that's kind of where we are.
Do you have a way to quantify usage, like, with rounds per year or whatever with the golf course? How do you quantify usage and justify the facility. Do you have any quantifiable information on that?
Yeah, we know who, because, everybody's in a group, you could either be senior or youth. And so whenever you scan in, we can report and try to figure out how many's coming on a daily basis and over a year or quarterly, what age they fall in. So, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see some year-over-year usage and, dollars, new equipment and fees and just kind of see what the investment versus the usage is.
Sure thing.
I appreciate that.
You do that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
What's going next?
Tara.
It's me.
how
Hi,
many slides do you have?
everyone.
I know.
Let me come over here and grab this remote control. I'll try to live up to Kevin's greatness. I don't have as many pictures outside or any park pictures or anything today, but I do have pumpkins. and
Pumpkins
a
are
lot of
good.
fall. Okay, so here's where we've been. We're very excited with some of these projects that we've accomplished over the past 90 days. We've conducted several entrance exams for the police department. That's an area where we're really struggling, like Kevin said, also with keeping positions filled and getting them filled. We've had 2 exams, one in September 18th, and the most recent one just last weekend on October 30th. We've conducted our benefit open enrollment in this past 90 days. We're excited about that because we have a new system, a Dayforce, and we actually built out that entire enrollment ourselves in-house. And that's a significant project because you almost have to be a computer programmer to build it out. It's really time intensive, and we were so excited that it actually worked and that we did it ourselves. So that was a really exciting one. We implemented updated civil service pay charts. We completed updates to our employee policy manual. We do those every year. So we completed that project. We've selected a vendor for recruitment and talent attraction strategy, and that's one of those projects that's going to hopefully help with our recruitment, as Kevin was just talking about, different ideas and things we're coming up with to help us to recruit and retain. And then we're scanning all of our personnel files so that they're digitized, and we're at the letter P. And those are pretty intensive because you take the employee's entire file, and some of them, if they've been here many years, can have very thick files, and you take each document out of that file and you need to, name it, put it in the right folder. And so it's a big project, but we're very close to the end of the alphabet, and that's all of our active files. When we're finished with that, we plan to go to the vault, is what we call it, and pull out all of our old personnel files for people who've left, because we do have to retain a lot of those documents by law, and we plan to scan those in so that they're easy to access. So what we're doing over the next 90 days, we're kicking off the general government market study. So you may recall that every other year we do general government, and then the opposite year we do civil service, which is what we completed this past year. We're building up an offboarding process in our Dayforce system. We have onboarding, but realized that we don't really have a great way of offboarding employees, collecting data from them regarding where they're going and why they're leaving, making sure we're collecting their city property when they're leaving, and just closing out their employment with the city when they leave. We're currently in our department working on our work plans for this fiscal year that we're in. We're also reviewing the civil service local rules for review and update. Those haven't been updated in a few years, so we're looking at getting that done here in the next 90 days, at least getting that kicked off. And then we have several civil service promotional exams coming up for both fire and potentially police. So our key performance indicators, we took a step back because of some process changes, primarily related to us implementing the HRIS system. We have now the capability of pulling more data out of that. And so we wanted to look at what we were using for our KPIs, and then what things are really meaningful in human resources that we do that we really would like to measure and see how we're doing. And this is the list of KPIs that we will be tracking. So recruiting, what is our total number of applicants? What is the number of new hires we're processing? for our organizational management, our turnover, what is our reasons for turnover? We can run that report by position, by department to try to key in on, anything that we need to research further. We also can look at our number of position and compensation forms processed. What those are is anytime there's a change in employee's position, a certification pay, a new hire, a termination, there's a form that gets submitted to make those changes in the system. Those are processed every pay period. And this helps us to know like the quantity of how many of those are coming through. Onboarding, how many of our new hires are completing orientation and what % of them are completing their onboarding task, which includes their confirmation and acknowledgement of our policies and things like that. They have to also submit their W-4s and their direct deposit forms. All of that goes to onboarding. We need to make sure that employees are getting that done. And then also how many of them are enrolling in benefits. That's, part of working here. One of the great benefits we offer is that, the medical and the dental and all those options, but we want to make sure that our new hires are actually enrolling. And then there's a customer service satisfaction survey process that's being built that I believe most departments will be reporting on. So that'll be one of our KPIs. So some of the KPIs I wanted to show you today, just to give you an idea of what that previous slide was. This is recruitment and applicants. This shows you the total applicants by month for the last quarter, the by source, and then the top 4 positions that got the most applications. And you can see it kind of, July, we were at 318. We went up to 501 in August, back down to 456 total. By source, Indeed does continue to be and has been, but now we can actually pull that in our previous system. It was hard to actually pull the number, but we could see that that was one of our biggest sources, but we tend to get a lot of applicants from Indeed. And then the top 4 positions that we've had applications for, you'll see that assistant part-time librarian, we had 163 applications. Admin positions tend to get, in customer service, those types of positions tend to get the most applications. New hires, this shows you, we had 71 for the quarter. And then it shows you here at the bottom where those departments are. It was a Parks, Public Works, and then all the others make up for the rest of that. So that's what these 2 charts are showing you. But the 2 departments with the most new hires would be Parks and Public Works, at 30 for Parks and 22 for Public Works. For the recruiting piece for the police civil service testing, we've given those 2 tests in September and October. And this just reflects to you how many people took the exam and how many passed the exam. So we had 40 in September that took the exam, about half passed it at 19. And in October, we had 42 with 23 passing the exam. And historically, in my time here, we generally have about a 50% show rate. So we generally have, for example, 100 sign up and 50 show up, and then half of those pass. So that's kind of been the historical trend. And then the change forms I talked about, you'll see here in July, we had 199, August was 110, September 84, for a total of 393 forms processed over the previous quarter. A lot of those that happen at the end of summer towards July, August, sometimes are related to part-time employees who are leaving because they're going back to college, and so their forms have to be processed through the system when they leave. And that's it for my update for this quarter. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Are you fully staffed?
We will be. We have 1 vacancy and we've just selected someone, and that person will start, I believe it's November 19th.
Good.
You see an increase of people taking the exam, which I saw. So does that mean that they will going to working with the police department, or what is the steps?
Okay, so the steps are they take that exam, which we administer, and then if they pass the exam, they have to take a rowing test, and then there's a pretty vigorous background screening process. So those that pass that test, and Chief could probably give you a better idea for the last 2 tests, but out of that whole group, if you have, for example, this last one, you have 23 that passed, you might end up with only 4 or 5 of those that actually make it through the whole process, through all the steps. Yeah.
So those are just the results of the first part of it, the written test, and then they have the physical, the rowing test for the physical aspect. And then there's a comprehensive process that is handled by the police department to make sure that they're vetting those candidates. So yeah, it's
We have about 36 candidates currently, if you combine both those processes, but none of them have been polygraphed yet.
She'll have 6.
I hope for 15 amongst the
Okay.
group. I think that's pretty lofty. But that's my,
and vacancies right now, chief.
24.
The number keeps getting bigger.
And we just recently had a retirement, so that added to our list. And then, of course, we added 5 new positions from October 1st, so we had 17 plus 5 plus 1.
You're counting those new positions in that.
I am, yes, sir. You gave them and I want.
They're vacant.
And that doesn't include any
And we're conducting testing more often now, because we, through the meet and confer process, can have multiple eligibility lists at one time. So we're trying to conduct tests every other month, or, we were doing them about 2 to 3 times a year. And now it'll be up to about 6 or 7 times a year.
And Chief and I talked earlier this week, just keeping in mind that even if we don't, which we will unlikely to fill all of the open positions through the people who remain in the process, but even if you got 10 or 15 officers, that would make a huge difference to,
And there's only so many trainers that we have. And you don't want to shortcut that or overburden. We have a very specific regimen for our training, so between 10 and 15 is about the max that we can.
Well, we're talking about police department and lack of staffing, et cetera. I hope we're posted properly for this, but can we talk a little bit about the ability or the inability to hire new officers, experienced officers to come from other places? I mean, aren't there some rules around that? That you can't hire in maybe at certain positions from, a guy from Killeen or Harker Heights, or did I just dream that?
No, we changed all that through meet and confer. So it
Okay.
used to be where you had one list and you had to go in order. The wording and the verbiage that we agreed with is.
And they had to be a current officer at TPD to fill a position,
It had to be.
or am I muddling
You are
my?
losing.
Okay.
No.
Hey, listen, you're the new guy, not me.
I totally know what's going on.
Through our meet and confer process, we do have a lateral transfer program that helps incentivize bringing experienced officers into our department.
Okay,
They still have to enter at a police officer rank, so you can't hire someone in as a sergeant or corporal or lieutenant from another agency. So just the nature of the civil service process, you don't typically have super experienced officers changing department.
Okay.
But there are many circumstances where, the officer is moving for, because their spouse, has been relocated. So through the meet and confer agreement, we've been able to modify Chapter 143 requirements to make it much more likely that we will attract lateral entry candidates,
Okay.
and that we can accelerate their hiring into the department.
Okay.
And where we put them salary wise is all part of that agreement, and helps provide some incentive and equity so that, again, the civil service process, the pay process is based on years of service, and that, time and rank. And so that's typically considered for the department itself, but we do have some flexibility under the meet and confer agreement to consider outside experience in where officers are placed coming in, which I think has helped considerably.
that's what I was asking. Well, that's good though, to know that, because it seems like you know, whenever you've got all the, you're short all these officers, and if your hiring process is difficult to capture 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 experienced officers, that, you know, it seems like you'll just always be behind because of the system, not necessarily because of the interest in officers serving the city of Temple.
Yes, and we also, and then you confirm now have a rehire process allowed as well. So if an officer left here and previously worked here, they are able to come back without, like Chief said, having to go down the whole list before you can get to that candidate.
Rehires are hiring from different departments. They go through the same training process that a brand new person goes.
Yeah, the field training program, we haven't fully evaluated that as of yet, but I would say my first inclination is yes, they'll go through the exact same training program.
So you'll still have some of the same limitation by the number of training officers.
That's correct.
They obviously don't have to, I mean, they don't have to go through the academy. So
Right.
there is
That-
benefits from a
Moves
timing
it forward
standpoint,
that way.
but in terms of our own departmental
Right.
entry, yeah, that's, but someone off the civil service exam list is probably more likely to not be certified and have to go through a full academy before they can even enter the field training program.
Right.
So 9 months academy,
It's a little over 6 months.
6 months. Okay. So it does help reduce the time to someone being, able to.
And then
Control
field training, which is another 3 to 4 months. So it's a year and a half, depending on, you don't have to loop them back. They're moving swiftly through the training program. But sometimes folks have, some struggles. We got to
Sure.
take them back through. So
But potentially a rehire or a transfer in, using the word transfer in from their department, will cut half a year off before you can get them on the streets half a year quicker if everything.
yes, sir.
Are those opportunities common?
I think in law enforcement as an industry, everyone's working on lowering the cycle, getting the hiring cycle compressed, getting folks through as many as possible. So yeah, it's fairly common in the industry.
In Texas, though, because of Chapter 143 and the really specific requirements, you would have to have a meet and confer agreement with a department that was wanting to work with you on a lateral transfer program like we have. We don't just have the authority on our own to do that. So that, we've talked a lot about meet and confer and, the benefits and our staff has spent a lot of time on that process, but there are really reaping some really clear, consistent benefits from that.
Good. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, I'm not even listening.
Yeah, but just be glad we came at lunch.
Your stomach's so full, that's right.
She is actually presenting what's going to be in the conference, so,
Oh, okay.
Recreation and Park Society.
Okay. Very good. Let's move. We're actually going to move back to item 3, which is to receive a presentation regarding the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. Kirby, you're up.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kirby Phoebe. I'm the Neighborhood Revitalization Manager. I work with Nancy in Housing and Community Development.
And we have put him on the spot today. He was not expecting to give this presentation. so-
Thanks for mentioning that. I was going to kind of just play it cool, but
I think you were, yeah. Never let them see you sweat.
yeah, I'll jump right in. Feel free to stop me, ask questions before and after. I'll do my best to answer them. But if I can't, I'll get with Nancy and get back to you later.
Remember, if we ask a question, we don't know the answer, so make something up.
Smart man. My dad always said that you either dazzle them with your brilliance or dazzle them with your BS. So
All right.
It's like,
So,
Moving right along. huh?
yeah, sorry. So the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. The purpose of the academy is to recruit and groom neighborhood leaders. So basically, we're trying to find a neighborhood coalition leader, being one person. However, that person is supposed to assemble a team of 6 to 10 other individuals as a steering committee to work with, and this may be in a later slide. But so when we say neighborhood leaders, that doesn't necessarily all rest on that one individual that we find to kind of spearhead the entire operation. But the ground level look at what makes Temple tick, foster a heightened awareness of city and community agencies and their mission, give them an inside look at city operations. The goal is for the graduates to establish coalitions in their neighborhoods. It's a 24-week program. It will meet every other week, so 12 times. Action-based introduction to the community services, support, and their processes. It's going to include a meaningful class project, culminates with city council recognition. The who, residents of neighborhood planning districts. So Temple is divided into 18 neighborhood districts. So we'd like to find a coalition leader for each individual district. There's a written application process, includes a short essay, staff review and selection. And the first class, we're hoping to get 15.
Ruby, I just wanted to interject and just highlight that while the target of our programming here is residents who are living in one of our 18 neighborhood planning districts, we don't plan to limit participation. If someone else in the community is interested in participating, we would certainly accept their application, but we are hoping that that members of the planning districts are interested and because again, kind of the goal is to help build that leadership base in the communities and strengthen neighborhood coalitions.
So someone from outside the planning district could come in and try to champion a district that is moving.
I'm not saying that necessarily, just that if someone is interested in this program, just to learn more about our community or our neighborhood planning, even if they don't end up, being a coalition leader, they're still welcome to participate. But we hope to use this as kind of a training ground for our neighborhood coalition, but it's not limited to that.
All right, so it's a balanced curriculum with strong hands-on emphasis and experiences at multiple locations. It's not a lecture series. As stated above, it's going to be very hands-on. It's not just going to be classroom reading out of a textbook type stuff. We want them to be very involved and active.
Kind of hands-on activities.
So
I think if you go to the next slide,
Okay.
you'll see some of,
So, all right, so session 1 is a welcome. It's with the City of Temple Housing and Community Development Department. It's meet and greet, very casual coffee, icebreaker, academy orientation and goals, the overview of Housing and Community Development Department's role, and program overview. Session 2 will be the introduction to neighborhood coalitions. It'll be a neighborhood coalition 101, just what they can expect throughout the entire process, the basics of establishing and running a successful neighborhood coalition, fundraising, etc. And in session 2, they're going to select a project and assign roles. The project they're selecting will be completed by the end of the 24-week program. Session 3, volunteer management recruitment, citywide volunteer program overview, private and nonprofit how the program works, and how you can customize it to fit any project. Keep Temple beautiful, volunteer management insights, on-site team up to clean up mini project. Session number 4, cultural and racial harmony. NAACP, LULAC, Unincluded Club. Their proposed on-site at the Unincluded Club tour of the facility, the importance of effective and inclusive communication and outreach, and how to develop a plan for your neighborhood that serves all of its residents. Session number 5, neighborhood planning and district tour. Classroom presentation of Ferguson Park and Central District plans. On-site imagining tour in Ferguson Park and Central Districts to walk the talk. Now you get it. Session number 6, resources for residents, library, TISD, workforce, commission, TC, United Way. Overview of services that are available to residents, 211 hotline, childcare, employment assistance classes, transportation, computer lab, etc. for the TISD CTE Center. Session number 7, City Hall, Council, Boards, and Commissions overview. We want to do a mock City Council meeting. Overview of the city business plan, boards, civil leadership, council districts, academy stays for council meeting. Session number 8, essential services, police and fire, on-site sessions at PD headquarters and fire training centers. And session number 9, essential services, public works and solid waste, on-site sessions at the water treatment plant. Session number 10, essential services, parks and rec, department overview, facility tour, and event overview. And session 11 is what I mentioned earlier, the project reveal that they decided on in the second session. Hopefully will be completed at that time. And session 12 would be council recognition, proclamation and presentation of certificates, project overview, presentation, what they did during the last 24 weeks, and presentation of neighborhood ambassador business cards. Tactical urbanism, I believe Nancy coined that phrase herself, or either way, that's guerrilla warfare, basically, weekend warrior style, as Nancy would describe it. Tactical urbanism project and a neighborhood planning district. Housing and community development team to develop a list of potential projects. Housing and community development staff involved with guiding and facilitating. Class selects project from approved options, and class members recruit volunteers for the project, and heavy promotion via marketing and communication. In the graduation celebration, city council session, mayor's proclamation, the presentation of neighborhood ambassador business cards. We want the mayor to encourage graduates to recruit the next class and encourage graduates to lead neighborhood coalitions. The budget is housing and community development funded. Grand total is $3,500. Each participant will receive a polo and dry fit shirt, business portfolio, business card printing. We'll also fund the class project.
I can just add on to that really quick is that we talked about having a fee associated with this class, but we really want to encourage these neighborhood ambassadors for several different neighborhoods. So what we're proposing here is that there would be no fee to participate in this program. And you probably saw 24 weeks that may have confused you. The idea is that these are 12 sessions, as Kirby talked about, every other week. So not full days. So, you may think of Leadership Temple when you think of these things. We have some, but this is specifically neighborhood focused, and we'll likely be doing these either on a weekend, while people aren't working, or in an evening timeframe. Some people have jobs that they can't leave during the day. So just really think this is going to be a huge benefit to us to get these neighborhood leaders.
I think it sounds good. You know, I know there's a lot of people in the different neighborhoods that want to get involved, but I'm not quite sure how to do it or whatever. And this would really give them a good start to be able to know what to do and what's out there, resources, and encourage others in their neighborhoods. Hopefully,
I hope so.
it's good.
Get them excited about that. They may even want to get on a board or commission
That's right.
afterwards.
And as she mentioned, it won't be a full day thing, like 3 to 4 hour classes, just to help them stay interested. Questions, comments?
We gave you an assignment, by the way. Literally.
Well, he wasn't here.
Not surprised.
I
Not surprised.
didn't even notice.
And I had some questions around that. Anything?
So this doesn't, this isn't something that requires council action, but when Nancy brought this forward to present to me, I just thought that it was a really great idea and something that we wanted you to be aware of. So somebody remind me of when we're hoping to start accepting applications.
November, right? Or did we decide to do after the holidays? Actually, I think we decided to go after the holidays,
The
right?
first of the
Yeah,
year.
the first year.
And then when's the kickoff? That may have been what I missed.
Like when we'll start.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll do applications. So depending on how long that takes, and then hopefully start by February 23rd.
We don't have a defined time
Right.
quite yet,
Right.
Just working on that.
You know, I often, and I'm sure council members, and probably everybody in here, get questions, what can I do? Where can I plug in? And, so you give them the boards and commissions, and we do that twice a year, and there's an interview process. And I think this is a great place to start to get people involved, right there in their own neighborhood, literally in their own neighborhood. Because that'll foster, that'll foster belief in the system and get them involved. I think it's a great opportunity.
Another thing too is if you saw the class structure, they're really going to be learning about items that affect their neighborhood. We saw with the water and different things like that. And so as they are these neighborhood leaders, and often residents have questions, and they're not just going to call us over here at City Hall or one of y'all necessarily. So they'll be able to talk to each other and answer those questions that they may not have understood.
I think that's a really good point here, and to kind of bring up that, we've talked a lot over the last couple of years about lines of communication and how we communicate and get information into our communities. And not everybody uses social media, and not everybody reads the newspaper, and we get information in different ways. And there's people in our community that either would not think to, or do not feel comfortable with contacting, a city official about a question. And so this process would also just allow us to strengthen the lines of communications and have another way to reach into our neighborhood and share information with what's going on in our community, and how, if someone has an issue or a question or a need, that they have that touch point in their community to strengthen that communication.
I think one area, I don't know if it might be already included, but code enforcement. That's going to be really heavy issue in the neighborhood. So I don't know if that's part of the training.
We have one. Go back to the sessions real quick. Let me say we have. So let's see. Where was that one? I think that's something that Nancy plans. Will you go to the next one? I know that we talked about it. Sorry. All right, go back. I think what Nancy intends to do is with the welcome, Housing and Community Development Department. We didn't mention Transform Temple, but they both are housed within the same building. So I imagine, during this, what she's going to do is, with Kirby, of course, leading the way, is she'll talk about different things that the Housing and Community Development Department does, but also in conjunction with Transform Temple.
thing, of course, one of the items that they work together in several volunteer projects, you have the dumpster drop, you have the tool trailer, you have all these great things, but then also, the code enforcement side as well.
That's a great point. We'll make sure that
Mhm.
there's a strong educational component on not only what resources are available, but also just some basic educational information on what is a code violation and what do what do you do? Yeah, and how, what that process looks like, and from both the person who might need resources to help, but also someone who might have a concern about a code issue in their neighborhood. So that's a great suggestion. We'll make sure we incorporate that.
I think it's great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all.
You did a good job.
Thanks.
We believe in most of
I think you're out of room for like half
it. What I saw, you did okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5 is to receive a presentation on security devices and personnel at City Hall. So at this time, which is 2 p.m., the council will enter into executive session to discuss item number 5. And what? Okay, yeah, I can bring them in together. Okay, item 5 is to receive a presentation on security devices and personnel at City Hall pursuant to Chapter 551, Government Code Section 551.076, which is deliberation regarding security devices or security audits. The city council may meet